So I just off the top, I would say like if you're a fan of the original game, like I can already confidently give you somewhat of a green light because it is uncompromised. It still feels like Kingdom Come Deliverance for all the good and the bad that comes with that. But it's just a lot of, for me, it's been a lot of like stumbling around in the mud, fucking up. And like, I'm just a stupid, poor loser for the first like 6 hours. I'm like, oh my God, can I finally get back to being a badass that like Henry was? But yeah, the world is really big, but also really like lush and I mean like visually lush, but also just like absolutely stacked with like NPCs, villagers that all feel unique. They're all going about their days, doing their routines. It's always so fun to see. And also it seems really, really well constructed in terms of how it reacts to you and how, for me personally, I ruin everything. Every single thing I do, I fuck up. I screw up. I get in a fist fight with someone, I lose the fight. I try and persuade someone, I fail. And the game just keeps like a Baldur's Gate, like a really well constructed thing. It just continues to keep rolling with those punches. I even got to a point where I think I felt like I borked a side quest, and I was like, oh, that window closed. And then sure enough, I like woke up the next day, and another angle of it presented itself to me, and I was like, fuck yeah, all right, this is cool. This is great. Like they really did think of everything. Combat is. It feels a little less janky, but it is still the same combat style. The points of direction, if I recall, are a little bit reduced. There's upper, left, right, forward, where there used to be 2 extra ones.
And a center one.
Yeah. But it's still like the same feel. Parrying is there. The Master Strike is there. Yeah, it's cool so far. I really, it's something that like I'm dying to like get back to playing tomorrow, honestly, to just kind of keep chipping away at it because I'm not very good at it. And I never finished the first game. So
no, I never played the first one.
It's a sweaty one. It's a weird one.
Sweaty.
But yeah, it's cool. I also like how it starts out. Like I don't think it's spoiling anything because it was like in the trailer, but like Henry, by the end of the last game, like, okay, like you're competent, you know how to use swords, you're like a guy. And then in this one, how did they reset that? Like, oops, you fell off a cliff or something.
That's right.
But it's got that presentation factor to it now that like really feels so confident. Like it's got the right amount of heaviness to it. It's got really good levity. It's got some really good humor that I've actually like really chuckled, but it still feels authentic, at least somewhat, to like the time period and stuff. And yeah, also the music. Oh my God. Like when you first fired this up, Ralph, did you like get hit in the face with the music? Like,
absolutely.
Oh my God. What a
massive step up.
Yeah.
Massive step up.
Yeah. So far,
I wasn't
I'm into it.
Really thinking about this one at all. I didn't think it'd be my bag, but
I think it's, this is the classic game of that you might love but never recommend. It's that.
It's a hard recommend. You got to be a certain type of player, definitely.
Oh man, absolutely, because it's so. I think compared to so many it's like the anti AAA game. It is so.
It loves to give you setbacks. It lives to give you setbacks, from the save system to the difficulty, of course, but also just like so many things around you are like set up to make you fail.
Right.
Yeah, but everything is hard. Like just you want to make a potion that you can save something with. Okay, go find the fucking herbs in a field, take them to an alchemy bench. Oh, what? The alchemy bench is too far. Okay, go right over there. Oh, you're getting ambushed all of a sudden, and you're at half health. Bad luck. You die now. Go back to your save. Yeah. Okay, let's go get those herbs again. Now let's go to the alchemy bench. Now you got to pour this and grind. Like, it's hard.
You will lose an hour. Like you will play and like make progress, and then lose an hour and be like, that was all a complete waste of time. Like, that'll happen a lot. Yeah.
That happened a lot in the first game because it was also very buggy. This one's a lot less buggy than that, but I still have had lost progress.
It's more in terms of, for me, it's like unproductive. I'm like, I just got my ass beat 6 ways from like Sunday for an hour. Great. And now I'm back where I started, but I have less money.
But it's like, it's also the freedom that it gives you is so fantastic. Like I remember one time I had to like go and assault some bandits who had stolen a horse. I was like, all right, let's do that. So I go to this camp and I like, try and go in, and then I'm like, and then they just immediately truck me because there's like 5 of them. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I can pull one off, and I like try and fight one, and then the other 4 rock up later. I'm like, hey, that's not going to work. So maybe I'll snipe and I'll like shoot them. I'm like, but it's so hard to shoot with a bow in this game. It's actually quite challenging. So I'm like, oh, that's not going to work. So I'm like, why don't I wait till nighttime and wait till they're asleep? And so then I just, waited, and then I creeped around and I murdered like 3 of them in their sleep. And then I fought the last 2 dudes hand to hand, like, and that is how I got that quest done, by just like trying different things, approaching things in different ways, leaning into my stealth skills versus my like frontal combat skills. And there's just so many things that made that a very memorable little moment. And very few games can pull it off in quite the same way. Some games try to do that sort of thing,
or they pretend to do that thing.
Well, but it doesn't feel as authentic as this one does, because like a stealth kill in Assassin's Creed doesn't feel particularly satisfying at this point, because it's kind of a bit. But when you actually land a proper stealth kill in this game, you feel satisfied, because you're like, it's hard to do that. It's hard to avoid their sight lines and make the right amount of noise, and it's just hard to do anything in this game. And so when you get it done, it's very rewarding, So great game so far.
Interesting. Like man. Pretty early on, like I had rolled a character, like I had leaned towards the traits that were like stealthy and charismatic and stuff. And I had a lot of situations early on where it was like I just had to be in situations where I had to fight, and it was a little rough for me. But then that kind of like it kept going for me, where I would get into situations later on, and every situation I encountered, I was literally like, please leave me alone. Like I just tried to avoid conflict as much as possible, because I suck so much. Every single encounter I'd be like, hey you, and they'd be like, what? And then I'd just be like, can we please just we make an agreement? I like the speechcraft stuff in this.
Yes,
the way a lot of it's laid out, like it takes everything takes a while. Like even just like the indicators for when you respond to somebody, and it's like aggressive, regal, charismatic, like even that stuff down to menu stuff. It all just feels so obtuse. The way tutorials pop up, it's like a full, like if you're playing on a TV, a tutorial screen pops up for something basic, using your inventory. The tutorial screen that pops up will fill the entire screen with like paragraphs and paragraphs of text. And I'm still like, there's gotta be a better way.
Yeah.
But it's almost like part of the charm in a way. It just feels so dense. I don't know. It's a weird way to like excuse that, but it's part of the charm.
No, I think it is. We fundamentally, I think games in the modern era have come to meet the player. And I think games of yesteryear required the player to meet them.
Yes.
And I think this is just an example of that old school charm. Like it's what we were doing back in the Morrowind days, or the days where we had to, type stuff in, to tell our characters to do stuff, like even further back. Like it's just
not handholdy. So it's like you'll get this, they'll give you the benefit of saying, hey, here's a big tutorial text. But ultimately, it's still like you're gonna have to like bang your head against this for a couple of hours to actually figure it out, and that's been okay.
Right. That is, and I think there's obvious reasons why that works and why it's so successful, and it has such appeal to players. But it's also obvious why a lot of people don't go down that route. It's obvious why the AAA industry sort of eschews a lot of that and pursues something more convenient, because they want to rope in more players. Like that sort of more Ubisoft design, but. I don't know. I just think this stuff stands the test of time, and I look at, for example, Ubisoft games, and they would unquestionably be better games if they adopted more of these sorts of principles, rather than trying to provide even more convenience to the player across all fronts. And I think that could be said of most AAA video games.
Also, this is a weird segue, but somebody. It clicked with me. Somebody in my comments said at one point, they're like, if you really, they were trying to appeal to me, saying like the new one, or really just Kingdom Come in general, is like Oblivion without the fantasy and with like the old school knob turned up to 11. And
exactly.
And since I went into Kingdom Come 2 with that in my head, and it makes me appreciate it even more.
Yeah.